Hi, and welcome to Graphics 101. I'm Gaia.
And I'm Danielle.
And this is our guest, Nancy Brown.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, so we're so glad for having you today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. Okay, so we have some questions to ask you about your experience in graphic designing.
Okay.
Okay, so why do you like creating graphic designs?
Well, I've always been artistic, and so it's a nice way to be able to work and use my talents. I'm always very visual, so I enjoy it a lot.
Yes.
So what impact does graphic design have on a show?
Well, usually you need some information that you don't always want to say. Sometimes you want to put it up there for people to read. And so it gives you information, and at the same time it helps from the show getting really boring, so you can have some nice visuals to go along with whatever else is going on.
Yes. And what do you need to know from the producer of your show?
Well, a producer is responsible for all the organization, as you know. And one of the things you have to organize is the crew. And another thing is your guests and all the information that the guests have, like websites and maybe schedule of events. And you need to get, the producer needs to give the graphic designer all that information spelled correctly, maybe already written so you don't have to retype it. And so that just goes right into the computer where you design your graphics.
So what kind of designs can you create using Deco, and can you tell us a little about lower thirds?
Okay, well, Deco is mostly for designing words, but you can also use pictures and you can create shapes. So you can do a lot with just those elements, make them different colors. And
here's one of
oh,
our lower
look,
thirds.
There's one. There's a lower third. That's actually got a picture in it and a person's name that I did on a recent show with a little bit of a frame around the graphic. So that graphic was a picture that's a very old picture, a black and white space picture, right? So you can bring in photographs of your own or of other people's into Deco and show them with the words. It's kind of neat.
Yes.
And here's another lower third that I did just with shapes and words. And some of the shapes are kind of transparent, you know, so you can see us through them. And you can use that in your graphics to make them look a little different. Also, you can bring in, you can make shapes that overlap each other. And in the lower part of the screen, you can see a shape that has more than one color, a gradation, which in Deco, which is our graphic software, it's called a ramp instead of a gradation.
Yes. Okay, how long does it usually take to create one of your graphic designs, and can you describe some of the titles?
Well, the things like lower thirds and titles, you want them all to sort of blend in design with your set. So with this set, I might do a certain design, and it's really better to know what the set's going to look like. And once I do, it can take anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4, depending on how complex the graphics are.
Yes.
So what other programs do you use, like, other than Deco?
Well, Photoshop. Most artists use Photoshop. I also edit.
Here's one of
here's it, and here's something that actually didn't use Photoshop for. This is a title for a recent show, and there's a little background kind of texture. That came from, we have a library of images in the control room, and they're on CDs, and the Deco computer has a CD reader. You just open those, and you can save them into Deco and create all kinds of fun shapes with them. But the other, like I was saying before, the other programs I use, well, for this one, I probably grabbed an image and used a layered object. So I've got the rose there, and there was some other kind of flash of light, and I just layered them together to make a nice title. Probably change the translucence of one of them so that they want the flower look like it's kind of coming out of the light. And I'm pretty sure I used Deco for that too. Just might have gotten the image from somewhere else. Don't remember where I got the image. The jazz title, that's all just shapes with the gradations, shapes, and words. And the shapes have a blurry edge, which gives it a different feeling. So for music, it's kind of nice to have things like that. I also I edit video and use Final Cut Pro, which you can do some things with. But to really do a lot of motion and things that you can't do in Final Cut Pro or iMovie, I use Adobe After Effects and have done several 30-second openings for people's television shows. This is kind of outside the regular schedule of setting up for a show. You know, setting up for a show takes an hour or so.
Yes.
But to do a 30-second open with all these videos and pictures in them and music and stuff flowing together, you need you might need a week. Maybe not every single day, but it takes hours to put those together.
Yes.
You can do motion effects like transitions in Deco, but it doesn't have the capability, the version we have doesn't have the capability to do those snazzy graphics you see in the movies. It's an older program. So if you want like a transition to come in, you know, from one side of the screen to another, it'll do that. And a credit roll, that's actually a motion effect too.
Yes. And here we're going to roll one of your openings from a show.
Right.
So we're going to roll it.
Let's see what it looks like.
Such a fantastic opening.
Oh, thanks. That one, the beginning of that show, they didn't have a really clear idea who their guests were going to be, but they had kind of an idea that they wanted to talk about change and new things and people who are doing interesting things, and they just wanted all kinds of different topics. So I used photographs. I went to Shutterstock and iStock Photo and companies like that on the web that sell you images. They're all really good images that they were the correct resolution and that I could count on to look good on video, and that I didn't have to worry about the issue of copyright. I bought the photos, so that's something that people need to think of when they're putting shows together with music and other people's art. You should get permission. So I had permission for those. And then used Adobe After Effects to layer them and add music. I think probably I put the music in first so that the images could flow along with the music.
Yes.
So have you ever had any difficulties with graphic designing, and how did you solve this kind of problem?
You have to just keep trying. With Deco, there are a lot of little bugs in the program that might drive you kind of crazy. I mean, you have to just go backwards and try again. There are lots of workarounds. For example, there is one thing that used to happen all the time when the credit roll would go up, and then it would, at the end of the credit roll, it would suddenly jump to the beginning of the credit roll and look really weird. And we found out that somebody had left a text box superimposed over the credits, and it caused that action to take place. So we just kind of learn over time what are the things that make Deco go crazy and what are the things that make us go crazy using Deco. There are a lot of them.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you, Nancy, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure for you to come and
well, great. It was good to meet you, and yes. You guys should just call on me if you need help with Deco.
And thanks for watching us today in Graphics 101. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Gaia.
Thanks for watching. Okay.
So now we're going to talk.
You're just going to like talk. Thanks for